Next on Worcester News tonight, as Hurricane Dorian travels up the East Coast, a Worcester woman is still waiting to hear from family in the Bahamas. Plus, the last beam is placed at the new South High Community School. Dozens gather to celebrate the next step of construction. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Lemon. A windy day in the city and a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect heading into this evening. Isolated storms are expected throughout the night. Let's get a first look at our local forecast for more.
Hey, good evening. I'm meteorologist Pamela Gardner. We've been tracking some rocky thunderstorms early today, and those storms continue to move out of central Massachusetts. And at one point, we even had a severe thunderstorm watch that expires this evening as we see drier conditions. So 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock tonight, we'll be in the 60s. There could be some areas of patchy fog rolling in too, and the wind direction changes from the west. Overnight lows dip into the upper 50s as the wind will turn again from the north and west. Tomorrow afternoon, cooler air among us. So we have low 70s for those high temperatures, mix of clouds and sunshine, and a beautiful day for us. The storms continue to exit this evening in our forecast. We're sunny, we're cooler for tomorrow, and then Dorian becomes an issue for Friday into Saturday, primarily south and east of Worcester, but there's a chance some of the rain and some of the wind will move across our area. I'll show you the threats coming up in your 10-day.
A Worcester woman is keeping close tabs on the devastation caused by Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas. She has family there and is still waiting to hear from some of them. Our Chandler Walsh joins us now with more. Chandler.
Olivia, Hurricane Dorian battered the Bahamas for about 2 days. Though Shanice Pinder is here in Worcester, she's been working to contact the Bahamas consulate in New York and get resources to her family. Shanice Pinder is keeping tabs on her family affected by Hurricane Dorian through videos like these. Here, one of her relatives drives through a flooded street in the Bahamas.
Communication has been intermittent with them, so so far we have very little information.
The 26-year-old moved to Worcester several years ago. She grew up in Nassau and has family and friends there and in the Abaco Islands.
Everybody's just trying to mobilize and get people situated in, the safest areas possible so far, because there is a lot of flooding, there is a lot of structural damage, and I think everyone's priority right now is to just be safe.
Pinder says Abaco and Grand Bahama were hit the hardest.
One in the hard and fast area, listen for the horn and come out.
Her cousins Chantel and Brittany Pinder and Halisha McIntosh are missing.
We were kind of like being hopeful, saying, once we get phone service up, we should be able to get in contact with them. And I was kind of like thinking along that they would be okay until last night when, I had family reach out and say, no, like we actually can't find them.
She's holding out hope her cousins are safe and sound. Pinder is also having trouble processing the death toll. There have been 7 confirmed deaths, a number expected to rise.
We were hoping that everybody would make it out, but over the course, you just knew that people wouldn't and they couldn't.
Pinder says Bahamians are resilient and prepared, but weren't expecting this much destruction.
Like getting videos and voice notes and phone calls of people in distress and swimming, and I've never seen anything like it.
Pinder is encouraging others to help with hurricane relief. She recommends donating to foundations like the Head Knolls, the Bahamas Red Cross, and the Bahamas Consulate. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Shelters across the state are taking in cats and dogs impacted by Hurricane Dorian. Staff from the Second Chance Animal Services in North Brookfield left Massachusetts Monday for Delaware with crates for evacuated pets. Second Chance brought back 17 cats from Hilton Head, South Carolina. The shelter says they need to be quarantined for 48 hours, but will be available for adoption in a matter of days.
These animals were sitting in a shelter there, and they want to get the animals out of the shelter there so that there's space to take in animals that are going to be temporarily displaced because of the storms. It's always hard for people that are in, kind of in the path of these sort of storms to find a place for their pet as well as get themselves out of there.
Always, yeah.
If the hurricane does have a major impact, Second Chance says this may be just the first of more transportation trips. A fatal pedestrian accident on Lincoln Street is under investigation. Worcester police say an SUV struck a 61-year-old man on Lincoln Street Tuesday night. He was pronounced dead Wednesday. Lieutenant Sean Murtha says it appears two men were walking in the crosswalk when a black SUV struck one of the men.
There's a crosswalk there, and there were two males crossing, and a car came up. Apparently didn't see him, swerved at the last minute, and hit one of the males in the crosswalk. Paramedics were close by. They were on scene before we were, so they were taking care of him medically. He was transported to the hospital, where unfortunately he was pronounced deceased the next morning.
The driver did stop to help the victim. Lieutenant Murtha says no charges have been filed yet. The cause is still under investigation. Administrators in Charlton are working to restore the town government's computer network. They say it was attacked with malicious software Friday. The hack led to frozen documents, emails, and main servers. The town alerted the FBI and their insurer, but says as of right now, it appears no personal information has been copied or removed. A topping off ceremony at South High School represents a final step in the construction process. City, state, and school leaders gathered at the construction site of the new South High today to celebrate the future of the school. Our Gretchen LaRosa was at today's ceremony and joins us now with the story. Gretchen.
Olivia, a topping off ceremony is a big event in the construction world. The last beam was added to the new school earlier today, with a tree on top that symbolizes growth of the Worcester Public School community. Progress is being made on the construction of the new South High Community School.
This is a $209 million project. This is the future of Worcester.
The last beam was added to the foundation of the building early Wednesday. The special white beam has signatures of all the elected leaders who helped move the project forward.
When I came into office, I said I'm going to build 3 new high schools, which was a lot. And the city management was very supportive because, you know, there's a lot of money involved here and a lot of competing interests.
The beam also represents a high level of success for the builders, showing the project is on track.
This is a sign that, you know, the work that the city manager and the school committee and the city council say they're doing, and the mayor for Worcester they're doing, and here's the proof of it.
Now Superintendent MAUREEN worked at South High as a principal for almost her entire career. She says the tradition of this ceremony is perfect for the new and improved South High.
And South High has always had a rich history of immigrants, and here is this tradition from Scandinavia brought over here that represents tree and life and hope.
The doors are not expected to open to students for another 2 years. South High graduate and current principal Jeffrey Creamer says he is counting down the days.
I'm thrilled to be back at South and especially moving into such a state-of-the-art facility. Our students at South High deserve the best, and that's what Superintendent BINIENDA is going to provide them.
In the meantime, South High students will continue to use the current building here on Apricot Street. The former high school opened its doors in 1978, over 40 years ago. In Worcester, Gretchen LaRosa, Worcester News Tonight.
The City of Worcester has new goals for hiring women and people of color for construction projects. City Manager Ed Augustus says they're aiming for a more diverse workforce. The goal right now is to have at least 10% of employees be women and 38% be people of color. The new percentages would apply to city-funded projects as well as Worcester Redevelopment Authority projects.
If we're providing ability for people to be economically stable and economically mobile, that helps for our economy as a whole. And so you look at programs like the Jobs Fund, and the Jobs Fund is you're looking at a 450% return. People are going from basic minimum wage to getting $20-something an hour. So that's not just economic stability, it's also economic mobility.
The new goals are an update to the current numbers, which were 5% women and 10% people of color. Mayor Joseph Petty also announced this week the city is looking to have a community benefits agreement signed for Polar Park by the end of the month. A request to have the city manager look into a ban of single-use plastic bags delays the city council vote on the issue. Councillor Mo Bergman filed the order for Tuesday night's meeting. He says while certain bags may be a concern to the environment, some with a handle may be useful for people, particularly the elderly community.
I think there's an argument to be made that although we're trying to reduce the use of plastic bags. There's also a reality that a lot of people rely on those plastic bags, particularly elderly and those that have some physical weaknesses. They're much easier to use the two-handle plastic than the paper. So I think we're trying to balance the environmental concerns with the human need.
Bergman has asked the city manager to look at what communities across the state are doing in terms of bans. A free symposium in Worcester will discuss substance use prevention, treatment, and recovery. The Overdose Prevention Fund was founded by a group of emergency physicians and medical toxicologists from UMass Memorial Medical Center 3 years ago. The group is looking to help prevent overdoses and says a symposium like this will allow people who are struggling to get the information and resources they need.
We're also going to be interacting and talking to people that come to our event to find out what they're looking for in the community, what may be missing, and how else the Overdose Prevention Fund can help out.
The symposium is Thursday night from 5 to 9 p.m. at St. George Orthodox Cathedral in Worcester. For more information, you can visit their Facebook page, Overdose Prevention Fund. Renovations at Abby's House will allow the nonprofit to expand its services for women and children. The building features new kitchens and an elevator. Leaders of the house say the renovations were much needed. Our Brittany Schaefer joins us now with more. Brittany.
Olivia, the building is almost 100 years old. Executive Director Stephanie Page says the renovations will be great for residents.
We did it! Yeah, we did it!
Abby's House unveils a renovated building with 55 units of safe and affordable housing for women. The work started in 2007 but was put on hold due to the economy until 2014. The more than $16 million project replaced all of the major systems in the close to century-old building.
At the same time, we were able to make some modifications to the building to make it a more comfortable place for the residents to live. So we put residential kitchens up on the floors, and we also made it all ADA compliant, so there's an elevator now in the building.
Donna Pierre-Louise suffered from substance abuse and fled from domestic violence. She's lived in Abby's House for 3 years and says thanks to their support is back on her feet.
I came here without anything. They gave me clothes and everything from top of my head to the bottom of my feet. When I first saw the renovation in the new room, I cried. Tears roll out of my eyes because I have never seen so much beauty before in my life. I will be leaving now after 3 years because Abby's House has supported me in every given thing I could possibly want.
City Manager Ed Augustus says homeless shelters and affordable housing is needed in Worcester, and the city is lucky to have an organization like Abby's House.
This is more than just one helping hand. It's thousands of helping hands of the people who support Abby's House, who work in Abby's House, that have provided to women who've been able to rebuild their lives and get on a productive path. And we as a community are so much better because organizations like Abby's House exist.
Annette Rafferty founded Abby's House in 1976. More than 40 years later, she says she is happily surprised by the nonprofit.
There's a lot going on here to make life positive. We're really thrilled with what this building has become.
Rafferty says the new common areas will allow for better socializing for recovering women. At Abby's House, Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.